question for you, but I think that we should go first.
Cool.
Lager. That's what we say in Boston. The lager.
You know what I was going to say that I'm very disappointed about in you? Don't you love it when people start sentences that way?
Welcome back to the podcast.
Welcome back from the piss break, everyone. Cheers, brother.
Cheers. That's a habit that I don't know. You don't have to do it. I don't even want to do it.
Take a bigger swig so you can get it
that's
belching
good.
before. That's actually delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure. This is a Austin Lager. There we go. There it is. Comes in a white can.
Twisted Brewing Company.
Dripping
Springs.
Dripping Spring sounds like a place you'd have an orgy
Or a studio.
or a studio. I am surprised you don't have that thicker Boston accent given where you grew up.
The reason I do not, and people ask this all the time, they're like, why don't you sound like, they always do like, oh, the pack you can't have it yet thing. And like, dude, I've heard that fucking billion times, man. Like, great. Another person saying it. But
Oh, now I'm asking you the one place you thought you'd be safe from that question.
I solely mean the pack you can't. Like, they always do that thing. People ask me all the time, which is fair. The people who have like the thicker Boston accents, I mean, I grew up right outside of Cambridge, which is right outside of Boston. So like, I'm pretty close. People in my town definitely have accents. The people who really get accents are like the townies, people whose parents grew up there, whose grandparents lived there. Like, they've literally, like, they're all just Boston, Boston, Boston. My parents came from Pittsburgh and Connecticut, so they don't have the accent. So I didn't grow up with the accent in the house. Therefore, like, I don't have it. It's that simple. It's basically like townies have it.
Okay.
So, yeah, but like we would come home from school and kind of have like, because like all the teachers were Boston people and they would say like Boston things. And so like one of our kindergarten teachers' name is Batchelor, I think. But it was always Miss Batchelor.
Miss Batchelor.
So, Batchelor.
Batchelor.
Yeah. And so like I probably thought that it was spelled Bachelera or something, Bachelor, but it's Bachelor. But those R's just don't exist. So, we would come home saying that, and it's like, oh, no, that's not how that's pronounced. So, yes, but no, I don't have it.
Would it be crazy? I hope I'm not the first person that had this thought. There's no way, it's impossible to find like 10 different movies that all have actors and actresses with thick Boston accents, and to watch the movie and just repeat back every fucking word they say and try to practice getting a fake Boston accent.
I think when you see actors do Boston accents and stuff, like, they're bad. Like, it's remarkable. I feel like a lot of people can pull off British, and British people can pull off, like, sounding American. But when people try to do Boston, they, like, really kind of botch it because they overdo it.
What's the phrase that you said everyone asks you to do?
Park your car in Harvard Yard.
No, but say it Boston.
Well, it's hard to go in between. Like, park your car in Harvard Yard.
Park your car in Harvard Yard.
See, like, exactly. Like, you went overboard and you park your car. But it's like park, like, you breathe through the R, like park your car. Like, it's not park your car. That's what people want to do. And so when you see someone do a Boston accent in a movie, it's why, like, Mark Wahlberg is in every Boston movie. Because, like, he actually has one.
What's the one he's in with Leonardo DiCaprio? It's the good one. It's the one where he says, maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe you should go fuck yourself.
Is it like Good Will Hunting?
No, it's not Good Will Hunting. It's,
Fuck
it. I'll post a picture of it.
I can't picture Leo doing one.
Go to YouTube right now if you want to see what movie I'm referencing. But it's good. It's called The Expendables, maybe.
Haven't seen it, but like people like The Departed.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, is it that one?
Yeah, you fuck.
Oh, there we go.
Leo's in it. Have you seen it?
A long time ago, and I probably didn't know who Leo was. Is he really in that?
Yeah.
Good for him.
And what I love about that movie is they have like 8 or 9. There's some heavy hitters in there. It's good.
I gotta rewatch that. I gotta do my Boston due diligence. But like there are movies like Patriots Day about the Boston bombing. That's like, I don't need to watch that. Like, I lived through it. Yeah. I don't even care. It's like, what? They didn't need to make a movie, and they made it so quickly too. They were like, let's do it, and I was like, okay. Like that happened in 2013. Like there was a movie out 5 years later or whatever. It's like we're still like living it.
I think we should start doing that. When 9/11 happens, the movie production companies the following year should start making a
Disco. What did you say?
A dramatization?
Dramatization.
Thank you.
I was gonna let you try a couple more times, but I thought I would.
And it's not even the alcohol. We haven't even drank that much.
Not much. Way less than I expected.
Oh, well, I'm trying to keep up to pace with you. And you've been, like, I finished this an hour ago, and you haven't even finished yours yet.
I've been enjoying the conversation.
I have too.
Also, I had to pee really bad, and I was like, I just don't want to drink anything.
And I didn't want to pressure you. So, the COVID question I was going to ask you. If you can only guess, right? You might not know the answer to this, but was Another Silver Lining Picturesque? Because didn't you release that right after the pandemic? Like in 2021?
Did I release that 21? 22?
I'll tell you.
No, that came out last year. That came out like the end of last year. However, I did write like all of it during the pandemic.
And was that because you had a bunch of fucking time on your hand?
Yeah, because I had a band called Arcadia back when I was in college, and I drummed for that band, so that was like a lot of my effort was with that. I would book shows for that band, and we would write and record and stuff. So I didn't really do much writing of my own. So then once I was just like back home, like in my basement, like at 2 a.m., like writing again, like that's where that whole record came from. So yeah, Another Silver Lining would definitely have been writing that record.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was not a bad thing. And then I recorded it all during the pandemic too. I became pretty close with my friend Steve. Anyone in Massachusetts who's listening, go record at Kennedy Studios, Burlington, Massachusetts. Steve's my guy. But, you know, like, I just
Shout out Steve.
Shout out Steve. He's awesome. But yeah, so like, I would just book out a day at a time or whatever, and it would just be me and the engineer, which is Steve. And just like, we would do 2 songs a day and just like have a good old time and whatever. But, you know, gone were the days of writing with a band, jamming with the band, writing songs like that. So when I went into the studio, I would come in with like a really kind of crappy demo and then record to that and slowly like build the song. But I played every instrument on the album. So like I played drums along to the demo, and then I'd play guitar over my drums and play bass over that and stuff like that. So it was a really unique experience that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, probably, because even if I wrote the record, I probably would have recorded it with some sort of band, gotten friends together to play it or something.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a unique experience, and then not mad at the fact that album came out the way it did. It wouldn't have come out that way without the pandemic, but hey, you gotta work with deal with the hand you've been dealt, as they say. Like, there was a pandemic. We couldn't do anything about that.
Right.
So may as well make the most of it.
And write music.
And
Picturesque.
yeah. Start dating someone that you want to date.
Slide into those DMs, baby.
You gotta do it.
I slid into one guy's DMs, and we had we had started chatting through Tinder, one app, I don't remember which one. And then when the pandemic happened, I remember it was like one weekend after Sacramento officially put its shelter in place, and then I was laid off. So I'm like 5 or 6 days in of just doing nothing and figuring out like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. I love to cook, and I love to cook for people. So I invited him over. And I slid into his DMs on Instagram. I looked for him on whatever the app was, and he had deleted it. I don't know. I couldn't find him. So I hop over to Instagram, find his account, DM him, and he says, I can't. And I said, why not? Like, you just can't today? Would tomorrow be better? Mm. And he's like, no, I can't come over. It's illegal. I love that that's your reaction.
What a world.
Because that's sort of the reaction I had too.
It's illegal, man.
So I said, no, it's not. Mm-hmm. You can come over and have dinner right now if you want to. And he said, I can't. It's illegal. And so I go to Sacramento's website.
You're like, bro.
And find the page where it says, we advise that you should not have gatherings with more than 6 people, and the 6 people should be friends or family, but as long as it's under 6, it can be whatever you want. Mm-hmm. I take a screenshot. And I'm doing this. I don't know what was going through my head. I don't know why I thought this would convince him to change his mind. I take a screenshot. And I sent it to him, and I said, see, it's legal. You can come over. And he said something like, oh, now you're pandemic shaming me?
I just gotta say,
And he was like, you just wanna fucking throw this picture in my face and show me how I'm wrong? Is this what it's gonna be like if we get in an argument, that you're just gonna pull up proof all the time and be like, look, Tommy, you're wrong, here's the website. And I'm reading this flood of text hitting my Instagram. I'm like, what the fuck is, like, so I'm already thinking, what the hell is going on with the world because of the pandemic? What the hell is going on with the world? I just got laid off from my job. Like, I'm not the guy to get laid off. I'm a good fucking employee. Now I have homeboy, and I'm pandemic shaming him.
That's a new term. I haven't heard that one yet. Pandemic shit is a good one.
Well, it's because yours worked out with your lady.
That's true.
You didn't pandemic shame her. No. I was pandemic shamed.
Clearly.
Maybe if I hadn't pandemic shamed him, I wouldn't even be in Texas right now. I'd be at home in a loving relationship.
Absolutely. But you had the pandemic shame, and you faced the consequences.
Still single.
Yeah.
Fuck me. You've met a lot of your heroes. Richard Patrick.
Oh, yeah.
Bernie Worrell. I'm sorry, Bernie.
I hit my head.
I'm so sorry.
I hit my head on the mic.
I'm sorry, Bernie.
That is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer that you just said. Worrell. Yeah, Bernie Worrell.
How do you say it?
There are two pronunciations, funny enough. Like, you hear people say Worrell or Worrell.
I like Worrell.
Do it. Bernie Worrell.
Bernie Worrell. Chad Smith. As you mentioned earlier, we got to play with the band Filter. In about a week, there's going to be 9 pictures above you of 9 people that I am manifesting that I'm going to interview one day. Peter Dinklage is going to be one of them.
All right.
But part of the reason I wanted to ask this question is I have not met any of my heroes, or in this case, people that I plan on having on the podcast. Mm-hmm. You have.
I'm not your hero, is what
dude, I literally cried during your song.
All right, I'll take it.
Okay. Continue. We're back. I saved myself. Whew. Close one. Do you think that meeting some of those people reinforce do you think that helped you stay on track to want to do music? Do music?
No, that's it. Do music is perfectly correct terminology. That is perfectly correct. I think it did, and especially because there's that term, "Don't meet your heroes."
Never heard that.
Have you not heard that?
Never.
Maybe it's because I do music, but it might be because like a lot of musicians, once they get to a certain level, are like arrogant or whatever. I mean, I understand. You've never heard "Don't meet your heroes"?
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's really a musician thing because they could, if like basically what you're saying, like, has that furthered me wanting to do it. I guess like if someone meets their hero and they're super rude and they're like a dick to them, like they might dissuade them from doing it or whatever. Luckily, the people that I've been inspired by and looked up to when I have met them, which has been a lot of them at this point. I mean, the music world is kind of small. Like once you know someone else, and then it kind of becomes familiar. So now when I do meet a hero of mine, like I'm just like kind of talking to them like person to person, musician to musician. Whereas when I was 13 or 15 or whatever, with the picture of Chad Smith and me and Dave McGraw and whoever, Bernie Worrell, like I think at that point I was really looking at them through a lens of like, wow, you're friggin' Chad Smith, man. You're the Chili Peppers drummer. You're that guy. To answer your question, I think that meeting them because they were all so down to earth and cool totally furthered me wanting to do music. I was going to say that anyway. That's not a bad term. Do music is real. But yeah, so like, because when I met Chad, it was after a Chili Peppers show, and man, he just like stayed outside and was just talking to me and my friend for a long time. Like that was probably 20. Have I met him twice?
Look on your face.
I was deep in thought, but yeah, when I was talking to him, I was like talking about that was the second time I saw the Chili Peppers. So I had seen the Chili Peppers one time before that, when I was in 6th grade or something, and then I saw his other band another time, And I was just like talking about that. He's like, "Oh yeah, that was an awesome show, man. That was super fun." Like it wasn't like, "Oh, I played so many shows. How am I supposed to remember that?" He was like, "Oh, I remember that one because he was in another band called Chickenfoot, that is a super group with like Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, both from Van Halen, and Joe Satriani, who's like a nasty guitar player. And there was another drummer named Kenny Aronoff filling in for that tour because Chad was out with the Chili Peppers. But they had a week off because they had a festival date at the end of the week. And Chad flew up solely just to play that one show. And so I told him about that. I was like, "Oh, dude, I remember when I saw Chickenfoot, and no one was expecting you to be there because you were on tour with the Chili Peppers, but you showed up to play the encore. That was so cool." And he was like, "Dude, I remember that. I love playing that show, you know." So talking to me as like someone, I think I was like maybe a junior or something in high school at that point. Very inspiring that he was like so down to earth. This dude has literally played. He's easily played over like 5,000 shows or something, some ridiculous. If you just even do like 1,000 a year 100 a year for
that would 1,000 a year. My God, do you have high expectations?
Right.
If you even do, you schmuck. If you even get to 1,000, maybe.
If you talk to 500, you can talk to me. But yeah, even if he plays 100 shows a year, which they often do more than that, 100 a year for 25 years of being in the industry. I mean, do the math. 2,500 shows, right? Yeah. He's definitely played even more than that because everything. Like, this dude remembered that one.
Yeah.
And he talked to me about it and how when I was there, he was like, he remembered that specific day. And same with Richard Patrick. I mean, and all of Filter, to be real, like, when we opened for them, I've met Richard a couple times and we're cool. Like, we're not like, we don't talk on the daily at all.
You're not texting every day like me and Danny are.
Exactly. But, like, when I do see him, he's like, "Oh, what up?" kind of thing. And when I opened for them, the drummer of Filter was just out there chilling with me, and he was like giving me, I was 14 or 15. He was like, I had just met him, and he was like, "Oh yeah," like showing me drumstick patterns of how to do this one song better. Like, just a thing that's like musician to musician, and it didn't matter that he was touring the world in a famous band, and I was a local opener in a local band literally in high school. Like, he was talking to me musician to musician at that point. It wasn't like, "Well, Sonny, here," It was like, wow, we're not on the same level, but we're on the same plane here currently. Yeah. And it was that kind of thing where it's like, this dude inspires me all the time, and now we're just like talking person to person. And Bernie the same way. I mean, that dude, I don't know if you're very familiar with Parliament Funkadelic.
I thought you were saying, I don't know if you're very familiar with Bernie, and I was going to say, did you hear my pronunciation of his last name? Yeah. Clearly, I have no idea who Bernie is. But
he was the keyboard player for Parliament Funkadelic. He was like, you know that song, "We Want the Funk"?
Oh, yeah.
So that band. He was their keyboard player. He's super influential. Like, just, I could go on about P-Funk for forever. And I've since become friends with George Clinton, who's the P-Funk leader, like the frontman.
The president?
Bill Clinton?
Oh, fuck.
Very different human being. And it's the same thing. Like, I just like to hang out with George Clinton and P-Funk and like those dudes. And it's like, of course they are like successful. They are very famous. They're all this. But when we hang out, because we have this like common love of music and whatever, mm-hmm. It definitely inspires me meeting your heroes and stuff, because when I do meet them, none of them have been like rude, arrogant, or whatever. They further my love for music, because when I do meet them, I'm like, oh, they're just a person like me who just devoted their life to music, and now they're doing it, and it's their career, and that's where I want to be, whether it's engineering or touring. That's what I want to be doing. And a lot of my favorite artists and musicians and stuff do both. A lot, like Nine Inch Nails. Does that name mean anything to you?
Yeah, I know who they are.
So Richard Patrick from Filter came out of Nine Inch Nails. He used to be in that band, now he's not. Trent Reznor, the leader of Nine Inch Nails, he also produces all of their music, and he film scores, and he produces other bands and stuff, and also does his own thing and goes out on the road with Nine Inch Nails and stuff, and like that's what I would love to do. So kind of being where they were when they were my age doing it, I'm like, the sky's kind of the limit if you just go for it. Yeah. And look yourself in the mirror and go, I will be playing in front of thousands of people per day. And so yeah, definitely meeting them is and talking to them and playing shows with them, and even working at the studio that I work at. Like, I'm not one to name drop and stuff, but like when you work with someone that you respect, you know. So I'm 23. If I had been telling like 13-year-old me I would be working with this person in a studio, 13-year-old me would be like, what? But and inside when I do it now, I'm still like, oh my god, like this is so cool, this is awesome, because this is where I want to be. But I realize that these people are just, you know, musicians doing the musician thing. Like, that's awesome. Like, it's a job, but we love it, which is why it's what we devote our life to.
Right. Let's say you could, that right now, there is a kid listening to this episode who is on the fence about if they should pursue a career in music or not. And you could look right into that camera and say whatever you wanted to them, because they won't meet you because they're either super far away or whatever. What would you say to them?
I mean, I would say, if it is true, like if it's what you love, because music is one of the most, and any arts, I mean, visual art might even be more, what's the word? Uncertain. I'm going to go with
especially these days.
Yeah, like visual art might be more uncertain, filmmaking's uncertain. There's opportunities in everything if you grind and if you really want it. So to any kid going into music or any of the arts or anything that's just like an uncertain path, if you truly love it, 100% go for it. Never get into music because you want to be famous.
Right.
Because I don't care to be famous. It would be. I don't even know if it would be cool. Like I was about to say, like that'd be cool. I don't know if it would be.
Right.
To be successful is what I want to be, and what I will be. But being famous and being successful is completely different. Like, if you truly love music and you want to go do it, go do it. Don't do anything else that will, you know, hinder doing what you're passionate about. If you're trying to get into music because you want to be rich and famous and all the magazines and red carpets and stuff, like that's the wrong reason to get into music. I'm not saying don't, because
they'll probably fizzle out at some point.
I'm not, you know, it's just you get into music because you love it, and I love it, and that's why I won't do anything else. So to that kid, do it if you love it, and if you love something else,
do that. To
that kid or another kid, if you love accounting, go be the best damn accountant you've ever been.
So
because you know how many people, like, you want to go be a person at H&R Block? You know how much people hate doing taxes? If you love doing taxes for other people,
please go do them.
Go. I already did my taxes.
No, I'm agreeing with you to the kid.
You looked at me. So I was like, I did my taxes.
Please go do them.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, I'm saying it for music because I'm a musician.
Right.
But for anybody who likes to do anything, I was going to be a professional baseball player. That was my dream.
Was it?
Yeah. I love playing baseball. And I was decent. I was no better than anyone who's, like, pretty good. But I hurt my shoulder. And I was like, it's not a path for me right now. So I got really into, like, the other thing I like to do, which is play music. My 2 career paths have been, like, the worst for, like, what's the word? Like, steady career path?
For like the accounting for me, the guaranteed income and being recession proof.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna be a baseball player, and then I mean, again, I probably would have played baseball in college, and that would have been like the extent of it. Who knows? But I hurt my shoulder. But basically, whatever you love, do it 110%, and go for it. Travis Barker, don't have a plan B. Do what you love to do. I mean, don't have a plan B isn't actually great advice, but it is for someone going to like music or something, because it's like, do what you love to do.
Well, it's funny you brought up The Office, because the show Friends, I won't get into the details, but they did the exact same thing. There is an episode where Rachel wanted to get into fashion, and she was working at a coffee shop, and the 5 other friends convinced her to quit her job, because they said you need the fear. And if you never have the fear to take the leap to get into fashion, you're never going to get into fashion because you're too busy serving all of us coffee for a minimum wage.
It's so true.
And so,
I mean, it's just
why would that? Isn't that sort of interesting that a sitcom in the 90s touched on something that the exact same sitcom in the 2000s did, and neither of them were motivational based. Neither of them were probably, the directors probably weren't looking to change people's lives.
No.
But there's so much truth in each of those 2 episodes and those 2 shows that have nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
About planting that little seed of do it.
Totally. And I mean, I think that's what makes like a powerful show, especially like a comedy that's not designed, because like there are motivational podcasts and there are, you know, motivational speakers and stuff where the design is to motivate. But what makes like a really good show is like you honestly, like, you should watch The Office, give it another go. And not just because I love The Office and Office fans are like, it's the best. It is the best, but that's not why I'm saying this. Like, it's so real of a show, especially like the last 2 seasons, whatever. But it's so real of a show. Like, they're not even the best actors sometimes. They're not the people that you would necessarily maybe cast in a show all the time. And I think, like, Phyllis, who is one of the sales people, she was actually, I think, the accountant for the show. And they said, like, we're going to put you on the show because you're, like, a real person. And so she became a character. It's
interesting.
Like, you know, like, they wanted to put her on there because it was really, like, a lot of people who have worked in an office can relate to the show because everybody's had a boss like that, or everybody's had a coworker like that, or whatever. And I think that a reason that show is so powerful is because it's so real.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Friends, they're a very glorified version of, like, living. I mean, they're living in, like, Lower East Side, like, Manhattan, like, very nice, like, whatever. The Office is, like, these people have, like, nothing going on. You know, they're living in, like, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Sorry to anybody who's in Scranton.
Wow.
But, like, you know, they're just living, like, it's not New York City. You know, it's not glamour. It's not whatever. And you see these people's, like, apartments and stuff and houses, and it's like, that's nothing special. Like, you're really watching, like, kind of a slice of life, but they do it in such a way where it's super funny to people who like it. But, like, you know, it I don't know, now this has turned into an Office thing, but I guess back to my other point was, like, the reason that some of those lines hit so hard is because the rest of the time that you're watching this show, you kind of feel like you're actually watching real people. And so when they say some line that, it doesn't happen every episode,
right?
But when they hit you with Pam, there's a million reasons to not do something. When she's debating going to art school and pursuing what she actually loves to do instead of just being a receptionist at a paper company, it's that kind of line that really, like, will really hit you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, am I Pam? Am I working a job that I don't really like when on the side I'm doing all this stuff that I like, but pushing it aside to just continue on the mundane type of thing? And that's why that works. So, you know, I kind of use that. There's a million reasons why to not do something all the time. In my own head, I'm like, I mean, you know, every touring opportunity might lead to something else. Every engineering opportunity might lead to something else. My other advice to people would be, like, don't turn down an opportunity. Like, if there's a reason to turn one down, of course, like, you know, if it's like something that's going to get you killed or something, don't do that. But, like, you know, the tours that I've done and stuff, playing guitar, like, I'm not really making money out of it for some of it, but going on tour with the Cryptics, the band that I toured with, playing guitar, the singer of that band runs the record label that put out Picturesque. And he heard my album because we were just on a drive from one show to the next. I think we were going to New Orleans, and everybody else was asleep in the back of the van, and we were just talking. I think he was driving, maybe I was driving, and one of us, we were both up front, and I had just mentioned how, like, I had a solo record that was fully recorded, fully mixed and mastered, ready to go, and I just didn't know what to do with it. And so he's like, oh, play it for me, whatever. Like, he's like, I also have one. I also have a solo record that I haven't done anything with yet because I don't know what to do with it. And I played him mine, and then we got out to get gas in a place called Scott, Louisiana.
Okay.
And he was like, I would put that out on my label if you want to, like, do that. And it's like, there we go. Like, touring opportunity, label opportunity, and then who knows, like, I've been focusing on a lot of other stuff too, but when I start playing out this record, who knows where that will go. And that'll stem from the label putting out the record. And then anything else will stem from that. But even another touring opportunity that I might have in the fall came from working at the studio. You know, like, interning at a studio. And through that, I've met a band that I might tour with or whatever. And they see that I've toured with this other band, and they realize, like, oh, this man has, like, done months on the road and stuff. Like, everything leads to the next thing.
Right.
So if one opportunity isn't paid, if one opportunity isn't or is paid but isn't as much as you could get making elsewhere, that doesn't really matter, because especially if you're a kid in high school thinking about it. I'm only 23. I don't need a house right now. I don't need whatever right now.
Right.
I'm building my career. Everything now is for the future, pretty much. Don't turn down an opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, everything builds to the next. Even literally everything is linear. I went to school in Connecticut. When I was in school in Connecticut, I got a job doing sound at a club in Connecticut. At that club, this band called Antidote played. The singer of the Cryptics was drumming for Antidote at that time. I ended up talking to him and recorded his other band's record, that band. After that, we kept in contact, and when I graduated, he hit me up to go on tour. After going on tour, he's, put out my record. After putting in my record, everything is linear. And even to go back further with the pandemic and everything, I took a semester off because I didn't want to waste college time doing a remote semester when my degree specifically was like a very on-ground, be in the studio, be whatever kind of semester. Had I just finished up my degree and done it online and whatever, I wouldn't have been back in Connecticut. I wouldn't have done sound at that club. I wouldn't have met him. I wouldn't have gone on tour with them. I wouldn't have gotten my record put out on a label. I don't even, and that's all from delaying a semester to be back in person, and it's also to say, who knows what would have happened if I didn't go back. I might have been presented with an opportunity somewhere else. I'm not saying always do something else than what you're doing, but pretty much every opportunity that I've gotten, and then whatever, and and every opportunity has led from something else that I've done. Basically, just always be working towards what you want to do, and it'll work out.
Yeah.
Just never be idle. I guess that's it. I work a lot, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes I don't see friends. Sometimes I delay a podcast twice. But everything is for a reason in my mind, and it's I'm not doing stuff just to have done, whatever. Everything is building to everything else that you're going to do.
Yeah.
And 10 years from now, when I'm playing to thousands upon thousands of people, I can probably trace a lot of it back to
my podcast.
I was going to say that. You finished my sentence perfectly. But I can probably trace it back to doing sound at that club.
Right.
Or I can trace it back to something, or even interning at the studio I interned down here before I worked there. If that opportunity that might be coming later on works out, that might be opening to a billion other opportunities. And some people would be like, I don't fully, this is back to me. I don't fully agree with unpaid internships and stuff. I think it's you can at least compensate someone for their time somewhere. It doesn't have to be much. Pay for their gas, pay for their whatever, if they're doing something for free. But in an industry like audio engineering, working in a studio, whatever, sometimes you just got to bite that bullet and say, this is all going to be worth it when I get to where I'm going to be. We'll see where I'm at 5 years from now, but a lot of it will probably be able to be traced back to opportunities that weren't monetarily gainful then, but without them, I wouldn't be where I'm going to be, kind of thing. So, long-winded answer. Do what you want to do 110%, because that's the only way that you're going to do. If you do something 50%, that means that 50% of your time is somewhere else. And then that's 50% of your time that could be doing what you want to do. And that's what I believe. It might not work for everybody. I'm just me. But I fully believe if you want to be a musician and you want to be a career musician or audio engineer working in a studio or both, splitting time between studio and touring, playing music, those are in the same field for me personally, because that's my path, and I want to do both of those. So I will be pursuing that. If you want to only be a drummer, go drum.
Right.
Join a band, play local shows. Travis Barker, Blink-182, he's worth $70 whatever million. He's worth a lot. He's married to a Kardashian now, which probably makes him worth more or something. I don't know. When he quit his trash man job, he just started drumming. He was playing for a band called the Aquabats. They were a ska band. They're still around. I like them a lot. But when he was on tour with the Aquabats, they were on tour with Blink-182 when they kicked their drummer out. And so they asked Travis, can you drum for us for the rest of the tour? Because our drummer is not here. Had he been like, oh, the Aquabats isn't the most monetarily gainful thing, I can make more money being a trash man, he wouldn't have joined the biggest pop punk band of all time,
right?
Which is Blink-182. So, like, everything is a step towards the next thing. And if you don't do if it isn't what you want to do, then you're not taking steps in the wrong direction, but you're taking steps in a direction of something else. And that's what I believe.
I don't know if you've heard this in an episode yet, but something new that we've been doing is that I ask every guest to ask my next guest a question, and I don't give you any information on who they are.
Oh, okay.
So while you think of what you would like to ask my next guest, I'm going to let you cheat a little bit because you sort of just answered their question even though I didn't ask it.
Okay.
But if you want to answer it differently, that's also fine.
Sure.
So the previous guest wanted me to ask you, what is the secret to your success up to this point, or what has been the key to your success to achieve everything that you have up to this point? And the reason I said that I'm letting you cheat a little bit is if your answer is simply you showed up for those opportunities, even if you thought like, oh, this is small, this is insignificant, now that you're 23 and you're at, where are we? It's May of 2023. You're so thankful for those opportunities, but would you say is that your key to success is consistently showing up, or would you add something else on top of that?
Yeah, I would probably double down on what I just said as an answer to that, but I think I would probably just re-emphasize, like, every opportunity whatever the opportunity looks like in front of you, you don't know where it will lead. You don't know who you're going to meet that day. You don't know where it's going to go. So you can only really hurt yourself by not showing up, by not doing it. If you don't have, I would just basically double down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Always show up and do everything 100%. If you're an unpaid intern, be the best
100%.
damn unpaid intern ever.
Yes.
Like, I had no problem sweeping the floors in Nashville and cleaning the coffee maker at the place in Austin. Like, I have no problem because people see that and they go, well, if he's gonna do 110% on the stuff that nobody likes to do, he's gonna be a really good engineer. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. What was the question? Oh, what's the key to?
What's the key to your success? Essentially,
being open to it. Don't be, and also never. I don't know. I feel like I don't really have an ego or whatever. I have confidence in what I know I can do. I can drum well, I can engineer a record, I can do whatever, but I don't have an ego where I think I'm better than anything, because there are people in my age and younger who are far more successful and everything. It's like, I don't feel like I'm above anybody ever. So it's like, just be, whatever you're doing, do it 110%, show that you're that guy, and people are going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
The other thing is, for music, I guess to go back to what would I tell a person who might be pursuing it?
Yeah.
Like, a good amount of it is your skill and how well you can do something, but like 90% of it, so I guess at least 10% for the other part, if we're going to 100, which I don't know. Right. I've been saying 110, so maybe 20. But it's like, are you a person that people want to work with? Because I've been in bands with people who are very talented, guitar players or whatever, but they're like arrogant, they have an ego, they think they're better than everybody else. And this is especially like, if we're in like a garage band, like a band playing sweaty basement shows and stuff, why have an ego? A lot of it is your skill. Are you good at what you do? Is the reason that you're there? Are you fulfilling, if you're an engineer, are you engineering correctly? If you're playing drums, are you keeping the beat right? Are you, if you're playing guitar, are you playing the right notes? Very simply that. But most of it is really, are you a good hang? Are you a person that people want to be around? Because, like, I've worked with some very arrogant people who are, more talented than me, maybe technically on whatever instrument or whatever. But people would choose me 10 times out of 10 over that person because that person has such a big inflated ego that they're impossible to work with. Whereas I might not give them, like, as nasty of guitar riffs and whatever. But, like, when we're hanging, we're just drinking beers and having a good time. That's way more valuable to a lot of people. So, like, especially in a studio thing, it's like, can you hang? And are you hygienic? Take a shower before you go to the studio because it's a small room and like nobody wants to smell that. And I've had that problem too, where like someone that I'm working with is like, oh.
I was not expecting you to say that on this episode.
Yeah,
but it makes a lot of sense. Like, I've been in the same thing. I've gone on dates with people who smell, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's one that they don't tell you in audio engineering school. Like, deodorant, shower, like, especially a touring musician, like, if you're getting hotels, take a shower. Like, why would you not? There's a shower near you. Just use it. You're going to smell better. And then you're in a van with someone for 8 hours. Take that damn shower. But yeah, so like, are you a good hang? Are you and that and the good hang are in the umbrella of
the smell and the good hang.
Do people want to be around you?
Right.
So if you're a young kid going to studio and you think you know everything, you don't, because there's a lot to learn. I'm always learning every single day. Every time I go into the studio with someone else that I don't know, I'm always learning, you know? And I think that's, have an open mind. That's the important part. It's like, you're never a master of what you're doing, even if you are. There's always something that you don't know.
Yeah.
That is my answer.
I gave you one of your questions 3 months ago. I gave it to you on February 24th.
All right.
Do you remember what it is? It was while we were recording episode 1.
Okay.
And I said it in the episode. At 23, I was not very comfortable in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
Still closeted, afraid of the world. I was a mess. And a lot of people, I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I don't meet a lot of people who seem like they're very comfortable in their own skin. You might not be able to answer this question because I do realize it's an interesting exercise to essentially answer the question, why am I the way I am?
Mm-hmm.
But I have not met a lot of 23-year-olds who have confidence and you seem just so comfortable and so happy. And even a couple minutes ago when you were talking about, you said something that could be construed as arrogant, but it didn't even come off as arrogant. You ooze humility. And so I admire you very much because you have achieved something at a much younger age that it took me till I was in my 30s to even begin to understand. So if you had to take your best guess, what would you say? Why are you so comfortable in your own skin?
I would kind of answer that in 2 ways. And one of them would be probably because I know what I want to be doing. So I can go for it. I want to be doing music. I want to be doing this. So I can I can just go for it and be confident in the fact that I know what I am supposed to be doing with, or what I feel like I should be doing with this life, you know? I would also say I get shaky when I sing my songs. I'm not actually like super comfortable in, especially myself as like a songwriter and stuff. I mean, I haven't played many shows doing my own record, but I used to sing for another band and I would throw up before playing every show.
Really?
Absolutely.
You were puking?
Every show.
Just like Eminem.
Did he do that?
Isn't that in like the song he's known for? About
vomit on the sweater already, mom's spaghetti. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. Yeah.
You really do know other people's lyrics better than your own.
Absolutely. So I think it might be confidence in that I know music is what I am here to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to hear that I come off as I'm confident, I'm comfortable. I mean, I've only played a handful of shows doing my own songs now, but the band I had in college that I sang for, and the band I had in high school that I sang for, I would throw up in the bathroom moments before we took the stage every single time. And do you know how annoying it is to have to sing with like acid in your throat?
I can only imagine that. Even podcasting, which is so much lower because it's not live. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have an audience. But if I got so nervous that I puked right before you came here,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had to do a 3-hour conversation, that would be distracting me the entire time, which is so annoying because you're trying to be focused and in the moment and present and not thinking about the fact, what if Tom knew I puked right before he showed up?
Yeah, like, you know, I was playing, it was probably the final show that my old band played. And it wasn't like, it was a totally amicable, this is our final show because we were all going off to college and stuff. And it was just like basically like, let's have one more party. And we played this pretty cool venue in Cambridge, Massachusetts. A lot of friends and family were there. It was awesome. It was like an ideal circumstance. It's like a lot of friends, a lot of family, and fans that we'd amassed over the years or whatever, however long we were a band. Packed venue, packed room. Openers are on. I'm having a great time. I'm talking to all my friends, talking to whatever. The opener right before us, because we were headlining, finished their set. I was talking to some friends. I was like, excuse me for a second. Went over, threw up 3 times in the bathroom. And then I went on stage and like killed the show. But it's like, I don't know what it is, because this doesn't happen when I drum. It doesn't happen when I play guitar. It doesn't happen when I play guitar and do backup vocals. It's literally when I'm singing lyrics that I wrote. It's like when I feel the most vulnerable. So to go back to like your, probably like the second question you asked today, like, am I taking this on the road? Like my own songs and stuff? I definitely want to, but I know I'm super comfortable playing drums in a band, and I'm super comfortable playing guitar in a band, and I'm super comfortable engineering another band in the studio. Because I'm like more of a, I feel like I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of person. Like I love to be making the record, and I love to be drumming and whatever, but like to be up in front, like I don't want the lights on me. But I understand that when I write a record, I'm going to be the one singing it.
Can I ask you, can I put you on the spot a little bit?
Sure, we can edit it out if I don't like it.
Are you giving yourself an out? Are you giving yourself an out?
What does that mean?
Like, are you trying to convince yourself that you like drumming and playing guitar more when you know you're supposed to be front and center, but because there's that fear, you're subconsciously, you're settling for like the second best life of, you know, it's still going to be super fun. I'm still going to be on the road. I'm still going to be playing the guitar. I'm still going to be playing the drum, but there's this fear. And so I'm going to convince myself that I'm just the behind the scenes guy, because for some reason my own music is, I'm so afraid I'm literally puking 3 times, and I don't like that feeling. So I'm going to settle. And it's still a great life. And that's why you're okay with it, is because you're still doing what you love. But it's just very, do you get what I'm getting at a little bit?
I do totally get what you're getting at. And the wildest part of the whole like throwing up thing, and again, it didn't happen when I played a couple shows of this project, and once I do more, I'll have a bigger sample size. What's funny is I myself am not nervous when I go up, and I'm not actually, you know, I'm not actually scared of doing it. There's some like subconscious thing that's doing it. So I don't actually feel like, when I have a show to play, I'm not nervous. But some part of me is. And I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what that is. To answer your question, I started like singing out of necessity because my old band, the one that opened for Filter, fizzled, and we didn't have a singer anymore. So I started singing. I didn't like love singing, you know? Mm-hmm. I love playing drums and I love playing guitar. So to answer your question, like kind of yes. I'm like kind of just like happy to be the drummer or be the guitar player because I don't have to sing. But also I was never a singer, you know? So playing the drums was my first instrument. Like that's what I've been brought up on. So like yes and no, like with more of an emphasis on the no. Like I love drumming.
Yeah.
So like I'm very happy to have that behind the scenes kind of role, like engineering as well. Like it's not because I'm subconsciously or consciously trying to avoid being the front man. I became the front man both times that I've made records and bands that I was the front man. One was because the singer of my old band was out and we needed another singer, and so I sang. And the second time was because I wrote a record because of a pandemic when I couldn't have any bandmates. So like kind of both times that I've made albums and made bands and made music where I was singing was because the circumstance dictated it that way. So I don't think I actually have I don't want to say I don't have the passion for, because I'm very proud of Picturesque and I'm very proud of that album.
It's a damn good album.
And I really want to pursue it more, but it's like everything I've ever done wasn't that.
Yeah. It
was drumming, it was guitar, it was engineering, it was mixing, it was this. So I don't know, it's interesting. I do want to take the Picturesque show on the road. I do want to play it out. I do want to see what that does for me because it's kind of uncharted territory. With the old band that I sang and played guitar for, like we played local shows and stuff like that, but I never toured it. I never pursued it as like a career thing. The band that I sang in high school was more like, I'm in high school and this is awesome and I'm playing shows and I'm singing and I throw up. But
and I throw up. I wasn't expecting you to go back to that.
But but the Picturesque stuff, the Tom Barvick solo stuff, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I love playing music and that it's part of it.
All I know is that when David's Saturday Night Sit Back gets big enough that we're doing live shows, it would be an honor to have you opening for the show, whether it's your own music or whatever band you happen to be playing with. I don't care if it's scrungy. Well, you used the perfect word.
I think I said sludge earlier.
Sludgy. I don't care how sludgy it is. I don't care what Peter thinks about your band, Dinklage.
Peter's gonna love it.
You want to see what picture I got for him for my vision board?
Yeah.
And I'll throw it up on YouTube.
You should put it between all these squares.
I think I'm going to so one of my other guests told me that I should put it up there only because then when I'm actually interviewing someone, I can look up and see them.
Can you tell me the other people on that list?
Yes.
I feel like when you're the podcast interviewer, you're never the one. I want to hear from David, man. I want to hear what's up with you.
Thanks, brother.
We have what, 3 more hours? That is badass. Because he is cooking.
That's my vision board picture for Peter.
That's you on the way.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's why I want him on the show, is because, like, do you ever see Taylor Swift? Like, have you ever seen a picture of a celebrity that just made you smile ear to ear?
Right, that's it. That's
like,
awesome.
There's just something about him where I'm like, when I get to sit down with him for an hour, I know I'm just, like, I'm going to love that entire hour, or however long it is.
Well, I will shake on right now, opening for that episode. No matter what band I'm in, no matter what I'm doing.
No matter who the guest is, even if it's one of the other 9 on the list.
I will do it.
So I wanted someone sort of like an easy win. So this isn't me settling, as I just tried to, not tried to, but I was asking you.
That's a fair question because, like, I totally get it. A lot of people would do the safe option, which is kind of what I'm getting at. Don't do the safe option if it's not what you want to do. But yes,
I'm not going to give you the whole list. Fuck it. I'll give you a couple.
Okay.
One is, do you know who this is?
Is she from Yellowstone?
How did you know that?
Because I've seen a couple episodes. They were way too long, but they were good. And
they're like 50 minutes, bro.
I know. It's like almost a movie, man.
They're 50 minutes.
No, they were pretty good. I liked it enough.
So that's
my girlfriend watched the whole thing. She liked it a lot. But the reason I knew that it's probably from Yellowstone is both the aesthetic, because I did watch some of the show.
That makes sense.
And in 2 of your episodes, at least, you asked people, Beth and maybe Nat, if they had watched Yellowstone, right. And neither of them had. So in my mind, I was like, if the opportunity arises
to say you haven't watched Yellowstone,
just say Yellowstone, because if you're right, you know he'll love you.
So when you go home tonight, you'll have to tell your girlfriend that Kelly Riley is going to be on David's Saturday Night.
I'm going to let her know. Kelly Riley. She is it's funny, man. I don't often watch shows and want to be that person in real life, but she has a business swagger about her that makes me want to conduct myself when I'm preparing for the podcast the way she conducts herself when she's fighting for her family's ranch. And I think at the end of the day, it's just passion. Is she Beth?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember some of it. I really wanted to like that show more, and I think I would if I just sat down again and watched it. I think I was just in the middle of Fargo, and I just wanted to watch the rest of Fargo.
Timing's big, because my sister is just telling me we watched The Last of Us about the same time, and both of us thought it was a phenomenal show. And then another show we watched called Shadow and Bone dropped a season on Netflix, and we're watching it, and both of us are like, this show sucks. And she did call me and say, could it just be that The Last of Us was so fucking good.
Yeah.
That then we went to. So it could have been that you just loved Fargo so much that you switch over to a show about cows and you're like,
Yeah.
why would I watch this?
And there was a season of Fargo that was like a family that kind of lived like ranch kind of life, whatever. And I basically just wanted it to be Fargo. Have you seen Fargo?
I couldn't even tell you what it's about.
That's my recommendation to you.
What is it? What's it on?
Hulu.
Okay, I got that.
Cool. And there is a movie called Fargo. You don't need to have seen it to understand the show. It just kind of exists in like an alternate same plane. But
They're related?
only because they're in Fargo area of America.
Oh, Fargo's an area.
Oh, Fargo's North Dakota.
I
So-
wasn't sure if we were talking about like Wells Fargo and if this was a show like about how the bank got built.
Big bank show.
Not the physical building, but like the
No, it's
the
literally just like
empire
brick,
that is Wells Fargo.
brick by brick, man. It's just like it's like
So
extreme makeover bank
Fargo,
edition.
you know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, but there's a movie called Fargo, like Steve Buscemi, like really good, 90s. Might be a Coen Brothers movie. I think it is. They did like Big Lebowski and stuff. But then there's a show that's basically just set in the same Fargo, that North Midwest kind of area. But man, it's the best show I've seen in a long time. All 4 seasons are so good.
You want more?
Yes, please. And I will make a conscious effort to watch more Yellowstone so we can talk about it.
You want to? Are we sipping or shooting this one?
Let's shoot it. Like they do in Yellowstone, right?
Is that even?
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Cheers,
Cheers.
brother.
Kelly Riley.
To the Irish.
Let's see. I'm gonna give you one more. I'll give you this one. Her name's Sophie.
I do not know Sophie.
Do you watch Shark Tank?
Oh yeah, Shark Tank's sick.
So I'm guessing you didn't see her episode. It's she runs the clothing brand C as I See.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. Is that a newer episode?
Brand new.
Okay.
Like this season filmed, you know, I think she was on the show in like February.
I do love that show because I'm all about like the small business entrepreneur type of grind.
Her mission is essentially to normalize healthier mental health and the stigma that's around it. And there's one person that I talk about on this show. This is probably the 5th time I brought him up. It's a close friend of mine whose brother died at 31 years old, about 17 days before Christmas in 2021. And on the anniversary of his brother's death, I asked him how he was doing with the grieving process, and he immediately teared up and straight up told me that he's essentially suffering in silence, hasn't told anyone, hasn't talked to anybody about it, not his family, his friends, his other siblings, and he straight up said, it's because it's the way I was raised, that we as men, we don't talk about grief. And
Totally.
that was a mind-blowing moment to me. So Sophie's clothing brand mission is to wear your emotions on your sleeve, and so they have like sweaters that might say anxiety on the arm, or so it's a really cool clothing brand, and I love her mission. So as soon as I finished her pitch, I went onto the company's website, find the contact us button, and I wrote her an email and told her about the podcast, and was just like, you are the ideal guest, because that is not what the show started out as, but that's what it's turning into, is us telling stories that are going to have an impact on the listener. And I want her on the Shark Tank. She wasn't able to really tell her story. She told a very smart portion, but that's not the point of the show. So they went in and out of it pretty quick.
Yeah.
And
Because they're the business side, they're not the.
they're there to talk about money, and
I'll give you $250,000 for 5% returns annual. Yeah, that's not the. Exact.
Stop the madness, as Kevin O'Leary would say, or
Yeah.
take it behind the barn and shoot it.
Right.
I would just love to have her on the show. I think she'd be amazing.
Yeah.
So the only reason that she might be like hard to get is because she's very much northeast in like Connecticut, I think.
As someone who went to school in Connecticut and the grandparents live in Connecticut, I'll set up the mobile studio and have you up there.
Okay.
In Grammy and Pop Pop's basement.
Grammy and Pop-Up's basement.
Orange, Connecticut. Where is she from? Do you know?
I think Connecticut.
Yeah. It's not a big state.
Well, it's more of just I'm putting my foot on the ground that we're not doing any virtual interviews. So if Kelly Riley or Peter Dinklage, more than likely one of their people, emailed me and was like, hey, Peter will come on the show virtually, I'd respond back and I'd have to figure out how to diplomatically say respectfully thank you, but no.
You would really turn down that opportunity?
I think so.
Is that a good idea?
I don't know. That's why I'm.
Did you listen to anything I just said about taking every opportunity that comes at you?
Yes, you did. I did. Okay. Well, here's the thing, though. People are people.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I putting Peter on that pedestal, but not you?
Because I live in Austin. I could drive here in what should have been 25 minutes, but it took about 40. Also, I'm not on Peter Dinklage's level. He has a way busier schedule. Actually, I'm pretty busy. But he has a way busier schedule than me.
It took us 3 months to get this done.
It did.
I'll have to meal on that, and if I end up hiring this coach, I might even ask him if I have someone of that, the caliber of they don't live in Austin and they have a crazy schedule because they are filming and on the road, and what would he, just because that's a hard one. No one's asked me that before.
I'm here for the real questions.
Well, and
this is Tom's Saturday Night Sitbag.
This is Tom's Saturday Night. I appreciate you asking, too, because it's a good question to ask while we're early and we're not getting people who are...
Well, because you got to think about it like... It's kind of a brand. It's kind of growing a business, doing a podcast like that. And so, if an opportunity comes that isn't exactly what follows what you're expecting... Like, I'm thinking about, so the singer of the band that I play guitar for, he's, I won't get into his whole diet, but vegan, salt, oil, sugar free, very, very specific kind of thing. And he's done some interviews, and I'm only thinking of this because of the podcast. He's done some podcasts where he's tuning in via Zoom, because there are people that share his ideas, but they're in Rochester, New York, or they're in... Where he just doing that was like super international. I don't even remember where it was, but like another country, West Coast, South, whatever. To get his message out, he's not able to fly to Colombia or able to fly to California on a whim, but to get the message out, he did the remote podcast via Zoom type of thing, because his message is important to him and he wants to get his healthy eating message out. If he had said, no, you have to come to New Hampshire to do this with me, or something, or the podcaster had said, you have to come to here to do this with me, that would have been some exposure lost solely because of location. I do understand it's nice to have a home base. What up, camera? It's nice to have continuity. It's nice to have that. But if you're going for building a brand, building an opportunity, building a podcast, whatever... I mean, and this is all hypothetical. I mean, so far Peter Dinklage has not signed on. So far Kelly Riley is not here.
Not yet.
But, if one of their people sent you an email saying, hey, yeah, we can do it this Thursday on Zoom at 5 p.m., would you not do it? I would do it.
Yes, you're right. If Kelly Riley or Peter Dinklage, I got that email, I would do it. Here's why I went with my initial gut reaction when I said I would respectfully decline the email is when we, like even this right now, when we're in person and even something as simple as we're laughing over each other and then like who stops talking, so there's a fucking flow.
Oh, totally.
That when you're on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or any of those fucking platforms, which are great platforms, and we all have leveraged them, it's just not the same.
And I absolutely agree with that.
And even 2 weeks ago, I got asked to do a... I don't know why people ask this. My imposter syndrome flares up. Probably about 4 to 6 times a year, I will get asked to do some sort of mental health presentation to some group, and I always say yes. And the last one was 2 weeks ago. and I told myself, and it was virtual, and there's 17 factors that could have contributed to why I felt the way I felt, but after it was over, I felt like I did such a terrible job. I told myself I'm never doing virtual again, because when I'm in the room, people are fucking smiling, laughing, crying, leaning forward in their chairs. I see the crowd getting engaged. When I was looking, I literally minimized the Zoom camera so I couldn't see the room halfway through, because this was the audience.
Yeah.
And I thought one of two things is happening here. Either I'm getting worse at my craft, which that seems weird. Like, the more you drum, the worse you get.
Yeah.
Where's the logic in that?
Makes no sense to me.
Maybe I was having an off day, and I was doing a terrible job, except I gave this almost the exact same presentation 2 months earlier in February, virtually, and the crowd ate it up. So there's also that piece of me that's analyzing, why did it work with them? And why did it not work with them? Was it me, was it them, or was it a mix of both?
Yeah.
It was so discouraging, I just told myself, stop it. It's 2023, you're done with Zoom. And I think that's part of the reason I said no. But when it's for the podcast and it's Kelly Riley, that's a different story. But that's just where I'm at right now, man.
Was your virtual presentation to a bunch of people also on Zoom from every location, or was it you to a
They
room
were
of people?
all in person. I was the only virtual person.
So next time to say, give me $250 for a round trip flight, I would be happy to do this in person.
I should.
And what I've learned through anything, so the band that I drum for now has been a band since before I was born. Like, this band is 25 years old or something. And it's very different, but very similar to what you just said, where we're not the biggest band in the world, of course, but they've played with, and I guess because I'm part of it now, every single big band in this genre. Like, these names would mean nothing to most people, but to people in this scene, The Business, Cockspar, like, all these bands are huge. So now we're booking our tour because we're going on the road in about a week. We leave on Thursday next week. And this band has done their time, man. Like, again, I've been in the band for a year, not even 6 months or something. I don't even know. I played a handful of shows with them. This is my first time on the road with them. And, he was talking to the singer of the band, who's the only consistent member since 1995 when they started or so. Was talking to another friend of his who's in a very successful band, and was saying, like, this friend was saying to him, like, you've been in this band for so long, you've played with all these people, you have this respect, you have to demand that respect, because so far you've been the nice guy and saying, like, well, we could do this, or we could, no, and now they're asking for, but as they should, a couple hundred, like $500, $600 guarantee per show, whatever, instead of just saying, oh, whatever you are comfortable giving us is fine, because you've done this presentation however many times you said, a bunch.
Well, I mean, it changes every time. This is actually every time I want it to be unique, and that's another factor is because I've been so busy with the podcast. When they asked me to do it, I thought I'm just going to recycle the one from February because I literally do not have the time to come up with a new one.
Sure, but in the grand scheme of things, you've done a presentation on mental health. How many times?
At this point, this was probably like number 25, give or take.
So that's a lot. You have it down. You know what you're talking about. You're good at it. So this band now, we're about to go on this run of 10 shows in 10 days. Like, it's I think it's almost 2 weeks straight, every day another show, and we're asking for that guarantee of money because we deserve it, because we've done our time in the scene and we have this fan base and we played with these bands and whatever. So same for you. You send them an email. You say, I would love to do this presentation. I personally think that, and this is the same with us, our show is better. Our show is good because of X, Y, and Z. My presentation is better because of I've done it 25 times. I know what I'm talking about. However, the delivery will be so much better if I get to do it in front of people. and it's $250. Like, I don't know where you're presenting to. I don't know. A round trip to anywhere in America from Austin. The good thing about Austin is we're right in the middle of the country.
Right.
You fly to Boston, you fly to California. $220 round trip. Mm-hmm. 250, 400 maximum. If they want you to do that presentation,
they'll pay it.
They'll pay that.
Right.
Same with the band. They want us to play their city. They'll pay that. And we're not famous. I'm not famous. Even the dude that's been in the band for the whole 25 years is not famous. But the band has enough draw and enough cred and enough clout and whatever you want to call it that we can send that email without it being arrogant. Right. It should be expected. So I don't want you to have to stop doing that presentation just because it's remote.
Right.
But to say, hey, fly me out for 2 days. I'll watch your dog. You got me.
Yeah.
Or take Dad with you. Hey, you got to pay for another seat from a boy.
You got to pay for my co-producer.
Exactly.
Oh, we didn't know you had a co-producer. What's their name? Dad.
He has 4 legs and huge ears.
What kind of deformity? He's 4 legs and huge ears.
Sorry, got a quick text there.
No, it's funny because even yesterday someone told me that one of the ways that at some point I could monetize the podcast is to require people to pay me to make an appearance.
Oh, okay.
And it's so funny because I've had a few people that I've cold reached out to that said, what's your budget? And I said, I'm so sorry, there is none. Mm-hmm. So if you require me to pay you, mm-hmm. it's just not a match. I am overwhelmed with gratitude. It just happened today when someone messaged me and said, yeah, I'll come on. It's a stunt coordinator. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Hell yeah.
We got a stunt coordinator coming on. Like, I love to get in the mind of not a stunt coordinator. He's a stunt man. Like, for movies and shit.
Word.
Like, that's going to be sweet.
Yeah.
You know, I got a fucking musician on. Like, I'm so grateful just to have you sitting across from me. So when he said that yesterday, I sort of chuckled. But then at the same time, I thought, when the day comes that this is getting 30,000 downloads an episode, of course I'm going to fucking charge people.
Totally.
I just haven't had that thought yet because right now we're only getting 50 downloads an episode. So I'm not ready to have that thought.
Yeah.
But that's why I need to keep showing up, to your point earlier, and I'm already thinking about these things so that as I show up,
yeah,
that thought's already there for when the moment comes.
And it's the same thing with the band. And that's why you've reached that point with your presentation. You've done it however many times. It's successful. It reaches people. So you can charge that. I personally probably couldn't charge any guarantee for my solo music. But for the band I drum for, we can charge $600 a show.
For Picturesque?
Yeah.
I think you could.
I think musically I could.
I know you could.
Reputation-wise, I could not.
Right.
Because Tom Barvick hasn't played enough shows to demand that. Hard Sell has played hundreds of shows throughout 25 years with the biggest band. So they can, the Cryptics, they played hundreds of shows throughout the 10 years. They can demand it. This is a new project, and it's the same with you. Like, this podcast is a new project. You can't say, hey, Peter Dinklage, pay me 10 grand, and you can be on my,
Right.
So,
right.
But that's what's important. It's like,
Tom Barvick's still puking.
Right.
We gotta get the puke factor gone.
I was late 20 minutes today because I threw up 18 times on the way here.
Did you really?
Absolutely not.
Oh, I was gonna say I feel bad if me asking you to play on the podcast caused you to puke.
No, the closest thing to cause me to puke was Dad farting in my face. Right.
Literally, as you were getting, took your inhale breath.
Dude, that was crazy timing.
That timing was disgusting.
I had the F chord ready to go. And he farted.
The F for fart.
Literally, he heard it. He's like, yeah, I got you, brother.
All right, now the time has come. What would you like me to ask the next guest? I know who it is. I know when they're coming on, as long as they don't cancel. I know what his background is. The only clue I'm going to give you is the one I just did, is that it's a he. But outside of that, what do you think you want me to say or ask?
All right. I guess it kind of has to be a broad question. It can't be like, hey, what's the craziest show you've ever played? Not like... I don't know who it is.
It's not a musician,
so,
unfortunately.
I guess if I had to ask a question, I'd say, what is the... Well, I don't want to take away from your thunder of questions that you ask generally on a podcast. But I guess, I'm always interested to know when anybody goes into whatever field they want to go into. Like for me, I always loved music. But literally... when I hurt my shoulder playing baseball, I had baseball practice every day after school in high school, so I didn't have much time for other things. when I hurt my shoulder, I had so much more time to devote to music, and that's when I really realized, like, this is what I want to do every day. Was there, like, this is my question to him, what was the moment, if there was one, that you realized you want to go down the path that you're currently down on? And I don't know if that will relate to him, but hey, that's my question.
Fair enough.
Does it work?
Yeah.
Will it play?
I think I know where I'm going to ask it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Was there a moment? All right, you know, not what was the moment, but was there a moment that really made you realize this is what I want to do?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Cool.
Do you know what the 1,000-star initiative is? Have we talked about this yet?
Mm-mm.
It's surprisingly difficult.
Okay.
So, my goal is to get 100 5-star ratings on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts
Okay.
between now and December 31st.
How many? 100 or 1,000?
100.
100.
Because 100 on both platforms would be 200 5-star reviews. 200 times 5 is 1,000.
That's 1,000 stars right there.
That's the 1,000-star initiative.
Okay.
Why? This show needs to get to the kid who thinks maybe I want to pursue a career in music, but some outside force, whether it's a parent, teacher, their own head, is telling them, go the safe route and be an accountant. I really believe that this episode will change the course of their life.
And I really hope it does.
But we're only going to get there. You hope it does because, go ahead.
I would hate, I said this earlier, almost verbatim, so I'll just repeat it. I would hate for myself to wake up every day doing something I don't want to do.
Exactly.
So I would hate for someone, because of someone else, to wake up every day.
Or their own self-doubt, even
or
because of them.
Self-doubt. Yeah, totally. And which is often fueled by outside influences. But it could just be pure self-doubt. I would hate for anybody to wake up having a passion that they push aside to do something else.
Yep.
That would make me sad. Because
Agreed.
I know that if I woke up
as an accountant
and said, yes, and said, man, you know, and I have people my age, like, who could still hypothetically do the crazy thing and go do what they want to do. I know people that are unhappy in their jobs because they like to do music or they like to do this or that are just settling because, oh, I need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You only need, I mean, and this is not 100% true, but you only need to make however much you need to make. It does mean you might be living in an apartment for a while, or you might be this and that for a while, or, you know. But at what cost, like, at which moment does the balance of the scale go between self-interest, like what you love to do, and what you think that you need to do?
I think that you hit on it perfectly earlier when I asked you what makes you most so comfortable in your own skin, is that you are one of the first or few people that I've met who's doing exactly what you want to do.
And honestly, when you asked the question and then we got sidetracked and we avoided it, of why did I move to Austin?
Oh, yeah.
Some of it was because I don't want to shovel snow anymore. I don't like, dude.
That seems
Hell
fair.
no. But it's a music-driven city. And it's the live music capital of the world, which is true. I'm putting it in quotes just because that's what it's called. But the more live music there is, that obviously means the more shows that there are, but also the more bands there are to record. It was just the logical step of city to move. Also, rent is cheaper than Boston. There's no snow. I don't care about heat. I do care about snow. And so there were just a lot of reasons to move. But sometimes you just have to go for it. And, like, I do believe that this move has, over in the past year, already been very good for me. There are a lot of opportunities that are in front of me that are because of where I moved to. But it was because so many people are afraid to move out of their hometown because it's what they know. Or if they move out of their hometown, it's the town over. Like, they're very close. And that's fine. Like, I know a lot of people. My brother moved to the town over, and he's killing it. Shout out Jimmy. What up, brother?
Jimmy! That's a buckle bunny, Jimmy!
I do not understand the reference. But I love the sincerity of it. But yeah, he moved out. He's doing what he went to school for. Loves it. Making bank. Proud of the man. And also still playing music. He's doing more with his band recently too, which is awesome. Go check out the Koi's, Koiis. Anyway, there are a lot of people that, and this is not in relation to him, but there are a lot of people that are afraid to move out of their hometown. They're afraid to do anything drastic. They're afraid to whatever. I'm one of 16 cousins in my family, big Irish family. One of my cousins, shout out Bobby.
Bobby! Do I have something for Bobby? That's a buckle bunny, Bobby!
Still don't get it, still love it. I think he's planning on moving down to Austin too, because when he came to visit me, he's like, this place is awesome. A lot of people are afraid to do something crazy. And especially when you're like 21 to 25, even like 30, whatever you want to do.
35.
I mean, they're always going to be, you're always able to get a job, you're always able to do whatever, but in reality, if you don't start something so early, and you see all the inspirational and motivational stuff like, oh, Beyonce didn't start making music until she was 29, or this dude didn't start doing this until he was 35, or this person until they were 41 didn't have a hit. Those are very inspirational, and I'm not even knocking that. Like, it's never actually too late to do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this period of life where, right when if you go to college, which you don't have to, there are so many options. You don't have to go to college. But if you do, or even if you just after high school, you have this time from like 18 to 28 where like you can kind of just figure it out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You can get in a cheap apartment.
Mm-hmm.
You can do what you want to do and see what sticks. And I feel like if you settle too quickly, like into a job or into a whatever, you're kind of going to miss that time. And even if it's great and you make money and you do whatever, you're going to kind of fall into this job and then you stay there. But I'm in this time where I'm like, why would I not just go all out and do music and see what sticks? And I'm going to be successful. It's going to work out. But this is the time to do it. There's nothing. I don't have kids. I won't. I have dogs.
I won't.
Hope
your lady's on board with that.
Absolutely.
That was a strong statement that you just said right there.
We know.
That was not like a maybe. That was I don't have kids. I won't.
Aunt and uncle life. Absolutely. Through and through. Shout out Henry. It's Emma's nephew.
Henry! That's a buckle bunny, Henry!
You know what I mean? But like we're in this time where it's like, do it. Go out and do it. And again, I always forget. I've also had now more shots and tequila and stuff. But I forget where this started. But we're in this time where it's like, this is the time to go and really just go for it.
Yeah.
No kids, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I won't. But you can just go and... I could literally go on tour and make no money for like a year. Just for fun.
Right.
And be like, nah.
Be like, what?
Yeah. I don't have a house.
No, what was that sound?
Nah. There's no mortgage. There's no house. There's no kids. There's no whatever. Like, it stinks that life is kind of like, birth, school, work, death.
House, death, kids, yeah.
Yeah. Not for me. But,
not for me either.
Yeah. But, uncle life. But, yeah, I fully believe that. And I just go for what you want to do. And again, if you want to be an accountant, if you want to be this, you want to be that, if you want to be a priest, do it.
And go be the best priest that you can be.
Be a good priest. Don't be a spotlight priest. Bad priest. But I'm all aboard everybody doing exactly what they want to do. That's what life is about. Do what you want to do. If you want to be just like a Wall Street, like stock exchange dude and work 100-hour weeks and make bank, do it. Absolutely. Go and make bank.
Go be Jordan Belfort.
Go be that man. Go be Leo. I've seen that one. Actually, I haven't.
But you haven't seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
I haven't.
That surprises me.
Long movies.
Oh, shit. Yeah, if you can't get through 50 minutes of Yellowstone, God forbid 3 hours of Leonardo DiCaprio
with 50
just
minutes of
crushing
Sopranos
it.
Every episode, man. I could watch that any moment of any day. Sopranos is the best show ever made. The greatest show.
Is the dog down there?
I don't see him.
What are you petting?
Oh, I'm just playing with my shoe.
You were petting the dog, but subconsciously I knew he had gone over there, and I didn't think that he had got back yet.
Yeah, no, that's
just your foot.
it's my Nike.
Okay.
But yeah.
It is funny too. As you were talking about that, I was thinking about the way that, as you were talking about how you moved to Austin, I moved to Austin. Some people might laugh. I don't give a fuck. Do you know who Chris Williamson is? Modern Wisdom.
Not the singer, Chris Williamson?
No.
The lesbian singer?
No, he's
okay.
Pretty straight.
That different one?
But he's a wonderful human being. And he has a podcast here that gets... Oh, fuck. I just looked it up the other day. Something like 100,000 downloads an episode or something.
It's a good amount.
But he came here from the UK to start the podcast on a whim and said, if it blows up in my face, I just move back. Mm-hmm. And this is the part where people might be like, yeah, fuck you.
What was that noise?
I can't do that again. I would need more mezcal. Who else moved here? Well, you did. And Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to, even if I never meet Joe, even if I never meet Chris, I wanted to be where other podcasters are. Mm-hmm. So I got rid of everything I owned. I packed what I could in the trunk, in the back seat.
Was it a Ford Focus?
Yeah.
Me too. Whoa. Yeah, 2014? What year was yours?
2015. What
we
color?
Can't all be black.
Silver.
Oh, do you still have it? Is that
yeah, yours?
Yeah.
Great.
So what's up?
We move here, and on like my second or third day here, this apartment's literally empty, and I'm sitting on the porch on my ass, 'cause no porch furniture.
No way.
And I called one podcaster that I knew, and I said, I want to start a podcast. Will you help me? And he said, how serious are you about this? And I said, I'm sitting in an empty apartment in Austin. He said, do you live in Sacramento? I said, not anymore. I drove to Austin to start a podcast. And he said, you're serious about this? Mm-hmm. And I said, deadly so. And he said, you're going to like this. First thing you need to do is find yourself an audio engineer. So I go onto LinkedIn.
Somehow.
For those who are thinking that your talk earlier about showing up, if you're not convinced yet, I follow his instructions and I go on LinkedIn and I put in quotes, quote, audio engineer, end quote, and, in quotes, Austin.
I can't
You were the number one result.
I cannot believe that.
So I messaged you, and in the recruiting world, which is what I do for my day job, for every 112 people you message, the stat is like 25 respond, 12 actually interview, and 1 gets the job. So I am not used to having my first message responded to. You responded in under 5 minutes.
To the Instagram one.
Yeah, but still. I wouldn't have found you on Instagram if I hadn't found you on LinkedIn.
Because I would not have responded to the LinkedIn one that quickly.
So then I hopped over to Instagram. I look him up. I send him, copy and paste the message on Instagram, send it to him. And here we are, 5 months later, recording episode, 21, which is also very interesting because my promise to myself was that I would get to a minimum of 21 episodes because 90% of podcasts only record 3 episodes. Oh. And of that group, 90% only record 20.
Wow.
So if I got to episode 21, I would be in the top echelon of podcasts.
There it is. I mean, that's the thing. It's similar with music, too. It's get content out because nobody can hear anything if there's no content.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing it. And I remember getting that message. I was at hard cell practice, and I was drumming, and I, looked down at my phone between songs, and I'm like, hey, I found you. And, if I had gotten only that message on LinkedIn, because you probably know, LinkedIn has a lot of, hello, Tom, I'm in a digital marketing agency, and I want to do this.
Fuck, am I getting a million of those right now?
And I don't know what that is, so I never actually take them seriously, because I'm sometimes I talk to them, and then they're bots. Mm-hmm. But when I got it on Instagram, and then later saw that it was doubled on LinkedIn, I was like, oh, he actually, he found me. Mm-hmm. And I was also stoked, because, a couple months into, or less than a year into being in Austin, I was like, someone found me as an audio engineer? I haven't audio engineered in Austin yet. I don't think I was at the studio yet, and if I was, it was new. I was just an audio engineer who made his location Austin. So that was cool.
Yeah.
So I was like, hello, yes, I will meet up. How are you?
Yeah, and I just bring all that up to say, first, I agree with you, about doing something. Don't be scared to be like, oh, should I make that move? Should I pursue a career in music? Should I start that podcast? Because it seems to be working out pretty darn good for both of us.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I forget. Oh, no! Fuck!
You can always edit this part out.
Nope, it's staying in here just like this. What I will say is, we only have an approximate time because we hit record before we actually started recording. But because I admire Joe Rogan, ever since episode number 1, I have really, really, really wanted to get to a 3-hour episode. And while I don't know the exact time that yours will be, we fucking did it.
We definitely are there.
We are over 3 hours. And I'm so happy it was with you, Thomas.
It doesn't even, yeah, I mean, it just feels like good old conversation.
It was.
I was just happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
We could have not even had the mics on. We could have just been sitting here talking.
Do you want to play one more song?
After all this tequila, I can play one more, but I cannot guarantee how good it is.
What would you play?
I'd probably play Picturesque.
You have to.
I have to pee.
Go pee.
I'll pee after. If I pee, I'll get out of it.
What did you say?
So if I pee, I'll be out of it.
Oh.
Once or twice now and then. I can't do this with the headphones on. See you coming, my old friend. Everything is pink and red. Everything is picturesque. And the sea will sing me to sleep. It's calling out to me. The sea will sing me to sleep. Set me free. The sea will sing me to sleep. It's calling out to me. The sea will sing me to sleep. Set me free. Once or twice now and then. See you coming, my old friend. Hold you close and breathe you in. And I'll release you to the wind. And the sea will sing me to sleep. It's calling out to me. The sea will sing me to sleep. Set me free. The sea will sing me to sleep. It's calling out to me. The sea will sing me to sleep. Set me free. All I know is turning to gold. All I know is turning to gold. And once or twice now and then, I'm coming, my old friend. My own lyrics. Like everything has always been. I will be to the end. The sea will sing me to sleep. It's calling out to me. The sea will sing me to sleep. Set me free. The sea will sing me I love the cheer.
Dude,
Forgot some lyrics. I wrote them.
while you were playing that, I just pictured you on a stage in front of thousands of people, and it's going to happen, man.
Let's make it happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Tom Barvick, everyone.
I appreciate being on here.
So before we end, go please partner with us in the 1,000-star initiative. Go to Apple Podcasts. Regardless, I don't care where you listen to this thing. Go to Apple Podcasts. It takes 30 seconds, if that. Leave a 5-star review, and if you want to leave some words of encouragement, Apple Podcasts does allow you to do that. Then go to Spotify, leave a 5-star review there. If it's not letting you, it's because you have to quote-unquote listen to one episode. So just hit play on any episode, drag the thing to the very end so Spotify thinks you have listened to it on Spotify, and then it will leave you a 5-star review. Tom Barvick, his name is just like it's spelled. Go listen to Picturesque on Spotify and anywhere you listen to music.
Literally everywhere.
Literally everywhere. This has been David Saturday Night Sit Back. Thank you so much for listening in. We will see you guys next Saturday night. Have a good one.